Assalamu alaikum. And now, in my top 100 games, we are finally reaching close to the end. This is number 11 to 20. So we are
20 to 11.
22. I'm not going in that discussion again. But of course, we will be going in the descending order.
Descending, yes.
Alright, so let's get on with the list that I will be telling that what game is on my number 21. Number 20
20.
is
Decrypto.
Decrypto. Now, there are many party games, and Decrypto I think is my favorite because it is not just a hilarious turn of your mind party game. It has a lot of thinking involved. It's a word game essentially, but what you are doing and how you are solving that puzzle is very unique. Every The teams are going to be divided into two teams, and then they are going to get different numbers and words assigned with it. What they have to try to do is give their own team members, everyone is aware what the words they have, but they have to give the words which match those words, not exactly those words, and let them guess the sequence of those words. But why that would be difficult if your own team knows already this is because you don't want your the opposite team to figure out those words. So every time you are trying to actually give different kind of words which are not similar to the previous one that you have given. So for example, if you had given a hint of butterfly before, then you don't want to give a hint of insect or moth anymore or caterpillar, because the other team will exactly know, oh, they are talking about the same word. You have to change the hint every time, and that's what makes this unique. If the other team can intercept and guess the sequence that okay, butterfly was on number 2, so if you said caterpillar, this is number 2, then maybe you will get caught. But instead, if you use a hint like Superman, okay, they might not guess what it is, but your teammates know, okay, the actual word is fly. So if a butterfly flies, a Superman can fly also. So maybe they will still guess it right, but the opposite team will not be able to guess. Both teams will be doing this back and forth. The teach is going to be slightly more complex than other party games, but what I always recommend is that play one round without explaining the second round that the other team has to guess. So let them just play with one round, and then when the other round comes, then explain to them that you have to guess each other's words as well, and then they have to be more careful. So then it's easier to explain. So in that way, Decrypto just becomes a very powerful party game, which is not just a dumb one. A lot of fun for me. Ishal, what's your opinion?
I will say it is a nice party game. I don't have many feelings for it, but I honestly don't know what to feel about it. It's a nice party game.
All right, so that's number 20, which is Decrypto. On number 19 is
Drop it.
Drop It. I like to drop it.
No.
Don't drop it. All right. Drop It is a very simple game in which you will be throwing down shapes in this acrylic chamber that comes with the game, and the all objective that you are trying to do is you want to throw a piece or shape which does not fall down on any similar shape or similar color. That's the only two rules that you have to think about. It should not touch anything which is matching the same color or the same shape. So if I'm going to drop down a square shape, then if there is also already a square shape visible and a trapezoid somewhere over here, then I will prefer to throw it towards the trapezoid side. But if that trapezoid is also the yellow color and the one I'm throwing is also mine yellow color, then maybe I don't want to do it, because then you will be scoring 0. The higher you can stack by following these two rules, the higher your stacked item goes in that acrylic chamber, the more scoring you're going to go. There are some bonus scoring points as well, but the game becomes more difficult because of the edges as well, because there are some colors given on the edges as well. So it should not touch even those edges if your color matches. And using these very simple rules, you can get anyone to start playing this game. among all the heavy games, this is, I think, the most simplest game there is, and I think that what makes it so much fun.
The
That
fun
you
is minimal teaching.
minimal teaching, and just everyone will be laughing. Anyone if something stupid goes on, you aren't in full control of gravity. You can always blame gravity for things like that. Yes.
Yes.
So when
Like
the game
physics.
doesn't let you make feel stupid, that or in an economic game you can make stupid decisions and then blame yourself for it. In drop it, who cares? And that's why,
Honestly, the stupidness kind of adds to the humor.
yeah. So you're going to enjoy that. So that's why on my number 19 most favorite game is Drop It.
He is a freeloader. Every time my mother and we put our shapes in, he will just plop his shape right there on top of ours, no charges, free of cost.
That's the whole objective of the game.
But still, it's like you only. Like you're the favorite of the game or something. Also, this game requires a lot of prayers.
Alright. So that's number 19, Drop It. Number 18.
Pandemic Legacy Season 1.
Pandemic Legacy Season 1 is on number 19. So my regular Pandemic has been on, well, below that. Pandemic Legacy Season 1 is, if you haven't played Pandemic, well, even if you have played Pandemic, I'll still recommend Pandemic Legacy Season 1 to everyone. Season 1 was the main game which started this whole legacy based genre, in my opinion, because it took this simple formula of pandemic where you are moving around different cities curing the diseases, but now you have a story to go with it, and with that story you will be not just going through the story, you will be making permanent changes to your maps as well. Cities will be getting impacted by the decisions that you make. There will be permanent issues that will be coming to the characters if you are unable to save them. There will be things which you are going to evolve or reveal through the story. And once you reach certain key points in the story is going to reveal itself that, okay, what were we doing in pandemic? This acts as a background of it, that where did these virus all come from? And that reveal is kind of the most enjoyable thing that you are going to have. The game is also going to ask you difficult things to destroy the cards, which is going to be a weird concept if you haven't played any legacy game before. But in my opinion, even if you didn't like pandemic, or well, the mechanisms are the same. So if you didn't like the mechanisms of pandemic, you are not going to like pandemic legacy version as well. But if the mechanisms were fine for you but the game lacked depth, then I would recommend that you give legacy a try as well, because it adds the depth not due to its mechanism. It does add a few mechanisms as well, but it adds more depth due to the story and the thematic sense of what you're doing. So that's my one of my favorites, Pandemic Legacy Season 1. Ishal, how was your experience of it?
I will say I did like the story very much. I don't quite remember a lot of it, but I do remember some bits and I still think about them very fondly. I also really like the mechanisms of changing the board and that your characters, they'll have scars and certain abilities unlocked, and of course I really like scratching the cards.
Scratching cards, opening boxes, putting stickers.
Specifically scratching the cards. That's my favorite.
So you might notice that Legacy Season 2 is not in my top 100. It's just below my top 100 list. So Season 2 Legacy is, well, a very different game. I will not say it's not a good game, but it's a very different game, because instead of starting with the whole map, you start with a very small island and the world has already been destroyed. And you are a future generation who is trying to explore that what happened here. So it gave a very different theme. It was like acting like a reverse pandemic, because instead of curing the disease, you are now providing those cubes to different cities as supply cubes. So it had a completely different feel. But if you want a purer feeling, then
Vanilla. Yeah.
Legacy Season 1 is still going to be the best experience you can have. So that's my number 18, Pandemic Legacy Season 1.
Next up on number 17 is The Crew Mission Deep Sea.
So I've done a little bit of cheating. This entry X both has the crew uh,
The space one.
space, what was it called?
Pluto something. No.
No, Search for Planet 9.
Yeah, Search for Planet 9. Alright.
Yeah, and Mission Deep Sea. I have kept Mission Deep Sea as the one which I am putting on the list here, because even though we have played the Deep Sea, the Space one more, the Planet 9 more, and we finished all of its campaign, whereas we haven't played as much the Mission Deep Sea one, but still I can see that Mission Deep Sea one is a substitute, a good substitute for the Space one. Why? Because, well, first of all, the crew is a trick taking game. Previously, if you had to play the crew with any particular group, just as a one shot, just as a random, you really didn't know that, okay, which mission should I tackle from the whole campaign. But now it's very easy. Okay, we are going to do a difficulty 3 level mission in Mission Deep Sea. So we will open these 3 cards until the value is as equal to that difficulty 3, and then we'll play based on that. In this co-op game by itself, the game was so much fun. You will be with few cards left. If you have 2 missions left, you will be always thinking, oh, I cannot really say to my teammate what I'm going to do because you have limited communication. But how I want to, desperately want to tell them that play a small number right now, because only then I can win this. And your other teammate might not be understanding. Only once you are all on the same wavelength, then you will be able to figure out, okay, he has played these cards and these cards are not in my hand, so maybe this card is with them. This is what I should be doing. So that's the kind of deduction that you will be required to do, to kind of not just deduce but also read someone's mind to understand how we are going to complete this mission, which makes it a fabulous game. My number 17, The Crew. Shal, what's your thought?
I don't have much to say on the story, but I will say this game is very simple and nice, even if especially if you're just planning to bring something out last minute and you just want to have some fun. Though I will say that the most you will get out of this game is both laughing and yelling at each other from the sheer stupidity of it all.
When everyone fails,
Like, there's the silence rule, but you will not be following that rule at all, because you'll just be yelling at each other constantly. Or you know what? You may cheat like me. And you'll say, bring a low number, bring a low number. I can win. Bring a low number, you'll be sign languaging.
don't do that. That's against the game rules.
Listen, it only said no talking. It never said anything about sign language.
That's a limited communication, means any communication.
No.
Alright, so that's number 17, The Crew.
Alright, next up on number 16 is Terraforming Mars Ares Expedition.
So number 16, Ares Expedition, which is the newer version of Terraforming Mars, or the card version of Terraforming Mars. Now Terraforming Mars was below 50 now on my list. Well, Terraforming used to be in my top 20, but I think it just got swapped places with Terraforming Mars Ares Expedition. Simply that's what has happened. And Ares Expedition is the game that I will prefer anytime over the standard vanilla Terraforming Mars. Why? Because of a few things. It keeps the unique, good and lovable computastic card play of Terraforming Mars. You will still be making a tableau which is acting on each other, running your economy. The economy and the number of inventory items, the number of resources that you need to manage have been simplified in this one. Gone is the big board. There is still a kind of a board where you will be seeing that how many ocean tiles have you flipped, and accordingly what resources that you get for doing that, but it's a much smaller board, so the main focus, you can easily play it on a smaller table as well. You needed a huge table for the standard Terraforming Mars because everyone will be making a big tableau of cards for themselves, but now that's
like the board would require at least this table space.
well, the board captured a lot of space, and then you had needed space for the tableau in the original Terraforming Mars, but now you can just have that with your standard. And the tree tokens which you used to place on the planet, now those tree tokens are just point tokens which you are going to get and you can calculate them at the end of the game. So it, in my opinion, it doesn't take away many things from the bigger version, Big Brother, but replaced it with everything in a better form, in a smaller box. The components are much better. Plus, the artwork has been significantly improved. The original artwork was horrendous. The quality wasn't good because it used a mishmash of stock photography, bad stock photography, as well as clip arts. It was a mishmash of artwork, but Ares Expedition streamlined everything. The icons are very clear. Everything, the text is makes much easier as well. The text had no issues in the previous one as well, but it just makes more sense in Ares Expedition. So everything terraforming Mars, but slightly, I will not say that it takes much less time, but it does take little bit less time than the standard terraforming Mars games. So that's why it shot up. I still love this game, which is Terraforming Mars Ares Expedition.
Okay, next up on our list, which is number 15, is My City.
My City by Rani Knizia, another legacy game, and that's a trend I think you will see in my top 20 games, especially that a lot and lot legacy games are there because I love legacy games. I'm not sure why someone will not like legacy games. As long as you can give time to these games as compared to anything else, then they are going to be a much more fulfilling um, experience for you, because it will be something, a game that you love, rules that you don't have to learn over and over again, slight variations each time you play. And that's what My City was all about as well, because this is a polynomial game in which you will get a board. You will be, it acts like a roll and write or flip and write, where you will be flipping a card and it tells you which polynomial shape you can play on your
That's what
board.
it's called? Polynomial
Yeah,
games?
well, Tetris shape
Yeah.
are called polynomials. So different Tetris shapes are going to come, and that's the tile that everyone has to play on their board. Where you place it is all up to you. There will be different placement points based on whether you keep the shapes matching in a bigger area, whether you cover the rocks, whether you leave the trees in your city for have better forestation in your in your city. So different point mechanism is there. So even though everyone is placing the same tile, but they might be starting same, but they will be going in very different directions by the end of the game. So that's the very base game, that it's a polynomial game and you have to make your best city which is going to score you maximum points. But then as you progress along this legacy game, it's a very simple legacy game. Each chapter it's going to ask you, okay, now open the next envelope, and the next envelope is going to come with few stickers, few rule twist that you are going to, okay, in this chapter these are the new rules that you have to play with. So it uses the base rule same, and now add some new rules, some new components, maybe some new cards, maybe some new polynomial tiles, sometimes stickers that you're going to permanently add to your board. And then it's going to be a different game that you're going to play, at least a different variant of the standard game that you're going to play. So you're going to enjoy, oh, my game just evolved into a new thing.
It evolved into a new Pokemon.
And the next game, and the next game, and the next chapter, and the game came with 6 or 8 chapters, I don't remember,
It
but
came with new powers.
and each chapter is 3 episodes. So even if you want to play just for each episode is 30 minutes, if you want to play a small game, okay, play 30 minutes and you can pack it up very easy. But if you have more time, go through the whole chapter, so you will be spending 90 minutes and enjoying a whole chapter in which you get to complete the whole objective. So a really nice idea, that taking a very simple game and making a affordable legacy game for everyone, because legacy games are more expensive, but My City came as a small, less expensive game which was very enjoyable. Ishal, how was your experience with My City?
It was very enjoyable. I generally really enjoy Tetris-like games or polynomial games, however you say it, because I just love figuring out that, okay, how am I going to piece this together? I have these pieces left, and if I need to add these right now, well then how should I put the layout? And of course, like, I really have to applaud the story on how it added the rules and new subjects in the game, as in, they didn't just introduce anything and then you'd forget about it in the next second. No, You actively keep those in mind, and it truly feels like you're playing a new experience. Also, the artwork is like nice.
All
I love
right.
stickers too, but I was never good at putting them. And I was mostly the best at making the cities. I'm sorry,
All
I
right.
have to brag.
So I played this game twice. Once with my immediate family, then once I played just with my parents. So my parents don't normally play these kind of hobby board games, but this was one of those games that even they enjoyed because the game mechanisms were so simple. It was easy for them to pick up as well, and they played through the whole legacy with me. So that's one of my memorable experiences as well. So my city is a great game in my opinion.
And I love Tetris games.
All right.
Next up on number 14 is Survive Escape from Atlantis.
Survive Escape from Atlantis is a very old game, and it got republished by Stronghold Games. What this game is going to be is that the island, you have multiple survivors on an island, and different survivors are worth different points. So the some members are worth 5 points, some members are worth 4 points, some members 2 points. So different values are there. I don't remember the exact values, but and these are written at the bottom of those meeples. So once you place them at the start, you can see that okay, what's the value of this meeple and where I'm placing it. That's the setup part of it. But then the island is slowly going to start sinking. Each turn, a player is going to remove a tile, and that represents the island is slowly sinking around. Once the island starts sinking, your objective is that these meeples have to be loaded onto the boats and then sent to the safety islands which are on the edges of the boat. That's the overall concept. But what makes the twist in this game is that you can load your meeples on any kind of boat. So even if someone else is has loaded their one character on currently the lifeboat, you might put your meeple on that lifeboat as well. So if they want to take it, every boat has 3 spaces. So if they take their meeple, they will have to take your meeple as well. But are you really trusting? Because I might be thinking, okay, they have put their meeple in my boat. Maybe they really want to protect it. But I know my meeple is worth 1 point only. It's a low society guy. So I will try to sabotage that boat and take that boat into the monster's mouth so that they all die. Because there are going to be sharks, monsters, whales in this one while traveling from the starting point, the central island, to the safety islands, which are still stable. So in between are these sharks and whales. The whales are always going to turn over the boats and all the meeples are going to be thrown in the water, whereas the sharks cannot attack the boats, but if the meeples are in the water, then they can eat those. And that adds to the fun of the game, that okay, what are we going to do? Where am I going to place my 5 scoring meeple? Where is my high scoring meeples? How do I make my boat exclusive? But if I put only my meeples in one boat, then I'm painting a target on my back, because everyone who is going to move, because you will be rolling a dice every turn, every player will be rolling a dice, and if a shark symbol comes on it, they get to move the shark or the whale. So they might be, if a boat is carrying only my meeples, then they will be inclined to send the sharks and the whales towards my boat. So maybe that's not a good strategy, that I want to put all my eggs in one basket, as they say. So that's essentially the game, that you will be taking those decisions, that what are you going to do with your meeples and how will you reach them to safety, whether by swimming, if by last chance they got thrown in the water, but slowing is slower, whereas going by boat is faster. So a lovely game in which you will be sabotaging each other, trying to deduce who has the higher value meeples in which boat, where to attack. So it's not a very friendly game. If you have people who are going to cry that why people are attacking me, then don't play with such people. But if
I'm
you
one of
have
those people.
but if you have that kind of group, that people are going to have a fun time attacking each other and enjoying sabotaging each other, then you are going to have a hilarious time playing Survive Escape from Atlantis.
I don't really like this game because I am one of those people who do not like it when other people sabotage me.
But you want to sabotage me all the time.
Yes. It's a confusing logic, but once you put yourself in my shoes, you'll understand why. I do not like it because, I don't know, there's just something about it that doesn't appeal to me. Art style, I don't like it. My father's a bully in that game too.
All right. So that's Survive Escape from Atlantis. There is also a version Survive Alien Attack or something. But I think just surviving the theme which is grounded on that island is sinking and you have to save yourself from sharks just sounded more fun than aliens attacking you.
Okay.
All right.
Our next game on our list, on number 13, is Santorini.
Santorini. Now, this is a game I think only I like in my family because nobody else plays with me. Santorini is an abstract game at its heart. You have to move each character, each player is going to be controlling two meeples, two figures on the board, and what they are trying to do is that wherever you move, then you get to build. So you can build up to 3 levels of buildings. So if they move and already there is a level 1 building already there, then you can make a level 2 at that location. But you don't have to just build those buildings, you have to climb that level 3 building as well. The player who gets to climb that level 3 building is going to be the winner. But to climb a level 3, you also need to have steps built up to it. So you need to have at least a level 1 to jump onto it, then an adjacent level 2 to jump onto it, then at least a level 3 to jump onto it. So you have to plan your moves accordingly that you are able to achieve all of that without anyone blocking you, because the other players can do that themselves as well if you're not paying attention, or they can use your structure which you just built to jump. Because if you just built a level 3 structure, who's stopping them from taking the next move action and jump on that platform by themselves? So you have to block them that they don't have a level 2 already from where they can jump on the level 3. Plus, people can block each other by building a level 4 dome. On the dome, once you place a dome, then that level 3 structure is blocked and you cannot climb it anymore. So it becomes a very simple chess match in which you are playing with each other, trying to figure out that how do I block someone and how do I complete these two things, how do I use my two builders in the perfect way where one is getting the objective done and the other one is providing distractions. And that's the base game. Then if you want to go one step above, then there are god powers available in it. So the game is themed around Greek theme.
Greek mythology.
And these Greek gods are going to grant different powers to each player, and that power is unique to them. So other than the building, that one additional ability is going to be based on that Greek god. The Greek gods come in different pantheons as well, because there are going to be some basic gods, then there are going to be some advanced ones which are more difficult to control and more difficult to win with, but they have more powerful abilities as well. So a lot of replayability, because each time you can just take any combination of gods that you want, each player controlling one. And I think the game production by Roxley Games, they took a very simple abstract game and made a thematic abstract game out of Santorini, which not only looks beautiful but plays like butter as well. So my favorite abstract game, Santorini.
I don't remember much of it, so I have no feelings.
Alright, so we'll play that today.
No, please.
Alright, what's on number 12?
On number 12 is Ticket to Ride.
Ticket to Ride, classic Days of Wonder, the most famous hobby board game there is. Ticket to Ride, in which you will be connecting different cities. The game plays like rummy cards, that you will be collecting cards of different colors and then you will be playing a bunch of those tickets. So if a route is 5 long, you need 5 tickets to complete that route, but the color on the board is going to represent that you need 5 pink tickets or 5 yellow tickets or 3 red tickets or 3 green tickets. Whatever is written on the board, you can make that route, and by placing your trains on it, you claim that I have claimed this route. What you are trying to do is you are trying to make different kind of routes possible. You will be getting some tickets which is going to show that which routes you have to complete. and that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to connect one city to other. In between which cities you use to interconnect, that's all up to you. Other players will be trying to deduce that okay, this player is trying to connect X city to Y city, so maybe I can, by looking at it, their route, if I block this area, then I can block them. So there is that possibility as well. Or if everyone wants to play in a friendly mode, then they can play in a friendly mode as well and let each other do their own tickets.
In friendly
But
mode.
sometimes the routes can overlap, they can be blocked unintentionally as well, and you might have to take an alternate longer route, but that's going to take more time. There are additional points going to be, the more tickets you complete, the more points you're going to get. There are going to be additional points for making the longest route as well. A very simple game which can be explained to anyone and they will be start playing it. Pick tickets or build routes, two actions that you can take. Very simple, and just the simplicity make it into my top 20. Ishal, what's your opinion?
It's a classic. I'm not a big fan of the art style, but I will say the simple mechanisms and easy playing of this game, it's nice.
Why you don't like the art style? I like the art of this one.
A bit dull.
A bit dull. Well, and you might be surprised at why simple games are so high in my list. But what can I do? If a game is going to pack a punch and gets to be played more because of its simplicity and still be interesting enough, then that is going to make in my top 20. If it's such a simple game that it's dull to play, then you will not see that game in my top 10. But otherwise, a simpler game with more depth has a higher chance to be in my top games of all time. And Ticket to Ride is a perfect example of that. Alright.
I don't know. We just really like simple games with like complex stories, I guess.
Yeah, we like story based games a lot.
I don't know. We like simple games that have a really big effect on you.
Alright. So, what's next?
Okay, next up, number 11, Carcassonne.
So, number 11, again a very simple game. Again, a classic
You'll
game.
see a lot of simple games. Just take it from here.
Well, maybe it will change in top 10, but I think 11 to 20 have a lot more simpler games
Yeah.
and classic games as well. So, Carcassonne, another classic game filled with nostalgia. Some of these games just have that nostalgic factor as well, including Ticket to Ride, including Carcassonne, that it has been so much time that I have not played them. But if somebody still asks me, I will still say yes, it's one of my favorites. Carcassonne is same as well. The most simple tile laying game in which you are putting two tiles together, trying to match grassland with grass, castles with castle, roads with roads, and you are trying to make the most elaborate city of Carcassonne. But whenever you place a tile, you will also be placing a meeple if you want, or if you have to claim one of these items that are represented on the tile. Whether you want to claim a road, so the longest road is going to give you points. If you place it on a castle, then if you can complete that castle, then each castle tile is going to give you points. There are different monasteries that you have to surround everything around that monastery. That's going to give you points. The farms are there. If you are playing with any first time player, maybe skip the farm ruling, because the farms are everything connected by grass is going to become a farm up to the roads, and every castle that touches that farm, so that farm is feeding those castles, so you're going to get points for that. A lot of points on farms, but it sometimes becomes difficult for people to understand the boundaries of the farm. So you can even simplify it by saying, okay, let's forget the farms for now and play with everything else. The game works still fine with those rules as well. There are so many variants available for Carcassonne. You can even have a home variant, which I always recommend, that you can have always two tiles in your hand and then decide that okay, which one do I want to play by next time. So don't draw the tile at your turn time, draw the tiles at the end of your previous turn, and then you can decide by next turn that okay, where am I going to place which tile. So just adds more flexibility to the game. Very simple city building game, and it's not just the simplicity. By the end of the game, when you will look at the huge city, because everyone is building the same city, they are not making their own separate ones, you're contributing to one big city. When you look at the overall combined city, you just kind of feel proud that you have built something big and you want to take a photo of that. I just love that feeling. So that's why on my number 11 is Carcassonne. So that's a game that you don't like.
I didn't like it previously, but now I have mixed feelings because obviously I didn't play it much recently. Though I still feel like from the description of the game, maybe I could like it because I'm getting more used to the genre of like building paths and that sort of stuff.
All right. So that brings an end to our another top 10 list. Now the only thing left will be the best of the best, the top 10. But I hope you liked this nostalgic and very simple and classic games that are on my 11 to 20. So with that, don't forget to leave a comment. I hope many of these match yours as well. But that's these are some of my favorite games, and anytime you ask me to play them, I will never say no to these games. So that's it for me for this time. Happy gaming.
Happy